Hi everyone, I'm Alan Janae, and we are in Buena Vista. We're going to give you a picture of this town, a look at some of its history, and a look ahead at its future. We'll talk with people about the things that are important to them every day, and look at solving problems. All of that as we are uncovering Colorado. I'm Alan Janae, and I'm visiting towns and cities all over our state to hear your stories, learn your struggles, and maybe even find some solutions. We're uncovering Colorado. In a small building on one side of Buena Vista's Main Street sits the Chaffee County Times. Inside, editor Hannah Harn fills the paper. Few real newsprint copies sit in a rack up front. When you picked up here, what surprised you?
I think I was really surprised by the level of investment in the community.
A place, she says, where people are constantly thinking about ways to make the town and their lives better.
If you were to ask someone in town what the biggest thing for them was, they might say housing.
Looking out around town, there appears to be a lot of open area, but it's not that simple.
It's not so much a shortage of space, so much as it's a shortage of things that people can actually pay rent on or purchase. Water has been at the top of the list for a lot of people as well, particularly developers.
Those who want to build need to have a supply of water. But does the pursuit of economic growth disturb the character of what we have?
I think of it less as a necessity and more as an inevitability.
The nature of a town so rich with history can reflect the past in town and on the ranches on its outskirts. You're a part of the younger generation, but then there's an older generation.
Mm-hmm.
Are you like-minded or are you different?
I think we are a lot more like-minded than we want to think we are.
Talking to a younger resident, Hannah Harn heard them describe a different perspective.
Because I'm going to live here for a long time, You're 50 years my senior, and so you don't have to think about that in the same way. I need to think about what happens in the next 50 years.
Can it keep what it has and get better? Maybe.
People don't move to a place like Buena Vista if they don't want to live in a small town.
A place that has already changed over generations and will change more.
I see grumbling, but I see acceptance coming. I think that people are going to feel fussy about it at first, and then they're going to forget it was any other way. Okay, a couple of quick factoids. Buena Vista sits at 7,900 feet. There are about 3,000 year-round residents, but of course that balloons in the summertime. To find this town's origins, you only have to locate an old building in the center of downtown and a local named Susie Kelly. Hey, Susie.
Hi, Alan.
How's it going?
Good.
It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks a lot for taking the time. Let's go in.
Okay.
Cool. The building was once where justice was dispensed, but it now houses the Buena Vista Heritage Museum.
This is the town of BV.
Wow.
You're looking at the courthouse and the buildings that were in town.
Upstairs is a big model of the area representing how things looked in the late 1800s. And you see right away there were a lot of trains. Why did 3 train lines end up converging in Buena Vista?
Because of the ore. They thought there was going to be lots of gold and silver, and this would be a good place to have the trains.
Mining was a big deal around these parts. Up in the hills, there were places like St. Elmo, considered a ghost town, but you wouldn't know it these days. A place where kids meet the chipmunks who come for a handout on busy, warmer weekends. The old store might be doing a brisk business.
It's gorgeous. Got to come up and feed the chipmunks and visit with Chris and Nora.
They've been running the store for about 3 decades. St. Elmo truly thrived for only about a decade in the 1870s, but many of its buildings remain as owners, mostly one family, try to keep things up.
It's more a preservation effort, not a restoration.
Buena Vista seems pretty good about remembering its history.
It is pretty good.
A history that, like all of Colorado, includes taking the land where Native Americans led their lives for ages before that.
That is an image that I painted because this is a camp that they put up over in Bassam Park. They found some gold and silver, and when you find any kind of a valuable metal, there goes the Indian land.
BV had surges, then decline, with the population falling at times into the hundreds. But today, it's growing again and bringing up questions of how to deal with growth and how it should look. It's a big factory floor, workers spackling and nailing and finishing.
You can see the insulation's already going in. These are the tightest boxes that are out there.
Fading West's Eric Schaefer says they'll build homes here in 10 days.
You kind of saw a problem and did something about it.
And that's really how Fading West came into existence.
They began with a plan to build in a community where rising prices were squeezing out working people.
We had 22 acres that are just south of the high school here in Buena Vista. And really the goal was the teachers who worked in the schools here, there was no place for them to live. Fire and police, social workers, nurses.
They wanted to build workforce housing, but when they saw how much it would cost to build on site, so-called stick-built homes, Fading West changed plans and created this factory.
It means radical reduction in waste and in parts, so we have one quartz countertop that we use, or 2 types of kitchen cabinets.
Limiting variety of design, like automobile production, keeps costs down. And producing homes much faster than building on site, creating financial benefit there as well.
This is not just us solving this.
It has taken the help of local and state government and nonprofits, as well as philanthropists.
As we do our part, they do their part, and then even municipalities are speeding up entitlement processes, giving land, either reduced rates or donating land.
But this is not a charity.
Are you making a profit already?
We are.
After 18 months, creating all this.
We are.
They are getting calls from all around the country asking them to come and open a factory.
I would guess you could increase exponentially, right?
We could. We believe you could have 10 of these factories scattered in the Front Range and other mountain towns, and they would be full all year long making homes.
And remember that 22-acre plot where they wanted to build in Buena Vista? They call it the farm.
Each model that we do, we try to learn from, so the voice of the customer is very important, what the livability piece to it.
The one-story modules are brought to the site and placed on a foundation. Then a second-story module and roof are added. Their price, though, had to change.
Did you find that initially, we wanted to build low income and then you had to bring that up simply due to cost?
Yeah, COVID really changed things, especially in the mountain towns with remote workers and just costs going up.
That meant moving up the price ultimately to sell at a higher income level than originally planned, with homes for people at 80% of the median income and up.
This is about 1,600 square feet, 2-story porch on it.
Inside, the finishes are high quality.
It feels nice and open.
Nice and open, 9-foot ceilings here.
With prices in the mid-300s and more for a finished house, they still believe these are the lowest priced new homes on the market in the Rockies. They are creating something as an exercise in giving back in a place at the doorstep of the Collegiate Peaks in Buena Vista.
That is a view I will take.
I was going to say,
Wow, that's just great.
It's just great, yeah.
Surf's Up in Buena Vista, with a nod to surfers in California or Hawaii. This is where Colorado surfers find perfection.
You gotta learn how to swim, and you gotta be willing to have a lot of fun.
In BV's Whitewater Park, you grab a board and try to get just in the right place along the Arkansas River. People take turns on small boards or kayaks and take a lot of spills.
Everyone's super encouraging and really friendly and helpful. You're not afraid to just try it and fail. Yeah, it's awesome.
Johnny Bushman has it down.
I was a dumb skateboarder as a kid, so.
Throws his board out and runs out from the rocks, and then somehow finds just the right spot.
But yeah, that's the sweet spot. That's where you want to be if you want to catch the surf.
Go, Johnny, go. Just ahead, we're going to raft the river and talk about how people have worked together to make the water in the Arkansas better. We're in the Arkansas River, right in the Whitewater. Our guide is Craig Partlow.
Let's go forward one.
Of American Adventure Expeditions. In the raft are visitors Maggie Garner and her husband Bud. They've rafted before. Bud's fallen out every time.
This is the third time.
Third time.
Yes.
And you've been out every time.
Well, not yet on this one.
The river can be a busy place with all the outfitters on the water.
42, I believe is the number.
That's a lot.
Most commercially rafted river in North America.
Mike Kissick is president of the Arkansas River Outfitters Association. Their livelihood depends on it. But is tourism always a good thing, or is it sometimes a bad thing?
I ask myself that question all the time. It's something I struggle with. And because there is such a thing as over-tourism and loving something to death. And I think it can always be a good thing if done responsibly.
Man, the water quality.
Well, it's fantastic. You know, the Arkansas River, it's an amazing resource for so many reasons. That water quality is a huge piece to it, and that's changed over the last 20 years.
There's cooperation called the Voluntary Flow Management Program for the benefit of all who use the water.
Outfitters in particular, we are non-consumptive users. So we float on top of the water. We don't water our lawn with it. We don't flush it down the toilet. We don't drink it or anything like that.
We're cutting in line. Outfitters need the flows during the short season. With cooperation between governments, private ranchers, and people, the flows are kept strong enough for this.
Let's go for it. Let's go.
Because when people experience it, they appreciate it more. It's just more conscious of the need to preserve this.
You care more when you see it and you experience it and you see the benefits and you reap the benefits.
So, like a lot of Colorado, Buena Vista is changing. Probably nothing changed it more in one fell swoop than this development I'm standing in, South Main. It helped lead to a resurgence in the area over the past couple of decades. Now, it's not everyone's cup of tea, nothing is, but the people who designed this have a lot of vision for BV and the future. You were a kayaker.
Yeah.
You're a pro-level kayaker, am I right?
Yeah, so
You and your sister?
My sister and I were both pro kayakers.
In loving water, Jed Selby and his sister Katie found themselves coming back time and time again to Buena Vista and the Arkansas River. In the mid-2000s, they hoped to create change here.
We were able to build a world-class whitewater park with 5 waves and trails and swimming holes and fishing holes.
Part of the effort to put in their development called South Main in an area near the river people used to use as a dump. South Main, which is only about 20 to 25% built out, unlike other developments, designs its homes and buildings to be dissimilar.
It's an easy trap as a builder to fall into the rut where you do one thing and it works well, so you do it again a lot of times.
Similarity in other developments is more cost-effective. South Main costs more. But it stoked the fires of revitalization in nearby downtown, where Selby saw advantages.
A town that has their main street as a highway is always sort of going to struggle with making that downtown area very comfortable.
BV's Main Street is off the highway. The town's current growth pressures and water questions have brought a hold on new developments. Some have called for larger minimum plots for homes.
I sort of think the opposite. In my opinion, if you were to take a 2-acre lot and turn it to a 5-acre lot, you will just devour the agricultural land faster, because it will take, instead of 50 houses per 100 acres, it's 20.
Selby believes Europe's denser towns are a better pattern. They are walkable, and overgrowth in places like BV, he believes, shows up on the roads. Could it get too big?
The question becomes with too big really is traffic. And so the more that the growth occurs outside of town, then the more that you're going to have traffic for people coming into town.
A little lunch, perhaps, and a visit to Casa Sanchez Mexican restaurant. But full up with questions. Do you go Buena Vista? Do you go Buena Vista? What do you do? BV?
I try to stick with BV, but either that or Buena Vista.
It's been that way for a long time.
So you listen, and if they say Buena Vista, you know they're local. If they say Buena Vista, then you go, we're going to charge you more. That's how we make our money.
Yeah, I understand it because it's pronounced wrong. Like, yeah, it is.
Buena Vista, Buena Vista.
In Buena Vista.
Buena Vista.
Buena Vista.
All right, that's from the guy in the taco outfit.
Exactly, like buena. It has to be pronounced like buena.
Yes, it is a mispronunciation of the Spanish words for beautiful view. In the early days, the town was Cottonwood, then Mayonville, but in 1879 they got together to rename the place.
And so they formed a committee.
And the committee liked the idea of Buena Vista from a woman whose name was
Sadie Dierheimer. That's a German name. She probably didn't know how to speak Spanish.
And so the town came along with the feeling that it was officially pronounced Buena Vista. But that hasn't stopped innovation.
People lived here a long time, call it Buny, and a lot of people just call it BV.
Okay, you're an AP Spanish student. How do you say the name of the town?
Buena Vista.
Not Vista?
No, it's Vista.
I thought you were an AP.
I'm pretty sure it's Vista.
Do you think it'll change?
I think it is changing a bit because the younger people know that it should be Buena Vista.
I'm in. Like, we can call it whatever we want. I just have to remember to call it the right thing.
What is the right thing?
Buena Vista.
Not Buena Vista.
Sure.
Coming up, generations of ranching and how water means everything. You've been doing what? How long?
Since the 1980s. I've been running burros.
Midway through his 70s, Bill Lee is a burro racing legend.
I always start out last ass in these races because this big old boy is so strong, even though he's old, that I'd lose him.
What's his name?
Bullwinkle.
Bill and Bullwinkle are regulars at the Buena Vista Pack Burro Race every August.
Good boy. Good boy.
A lot of people make a destination of it through the old railroad tunnels. The leaders are quick. These burros are built for running. Burros are also characters with their own ideas on the importance of the race. Come on, Mosey. There's been over 50 years of pack burro racing here, and this one is a big one. That's because it's the third leg in a triple crown, third weekend in a row, and it's the big finish. With fans lining Main Street as they run it in. At the end, there are hugs.
More coming in. California breakfast burritos, tearing it up.
And Bill and Bullwinkle mosey in pretty late these days, but the cheers
Well done, young man.
may be some of the loudest. This is burro racing.
74-year-old runner with a 29-year-old donkey, ladies and gentlemen, with 13.1 miles in the books.
He's the best. He's the best.
You can't talk about the history of BV without talking about ranching and how important it was for the development of the whole valley, the establishment and use of water rights. And if you think about the future, well, you'd better bring ranching into the mix. Ashley Cogan climbs into a ranch vehicle. Her 3-year-old son, Leroy, just wants to ride.
He just wants to be on the tractor and the truck, all of that, and then
on the skid,
yeah, you like the skid steer is your favorite. I'm actually 8th generation Colorado, but then our kids are 6th generation Chaffee County.
The ranch where they're working is hundreds of acres under the soaring Mount Princeton. It's a life Ashley and her husband love. His family has another big ranch nearby.
So we ran with Brennan's dad for a while, and then we just kind of outgrew it for now.
It's a big sweeping property of hundreds of acres belonging to the Kelly family, which first homesteaded it in 1873. Dave Kelly runs things these days. He's enjoying watching a Mustang that for some reason is taken to supervising the calves.
And he'll be laying out there in the middle of all the baby calves, and the mamas will be over there eating somewhere, and he's in there sleeping with all the babies.
I never heard of a guard horse.
Yeah, he's a guard horse, so.
There's always work, like clearing the ditches that bring the water off the mountains to the land.
You can dig there if you'd like. I'm gonna walk through and see where the water's at.
As Leroy busies himself, Ashley works to make sure the water has a clear path to percolate into the earth. Dave is thoughtful about what they do.
Every day we're dealing with life and death decisions with our wildlife and with our crops.
As a former water commissioner in the area, he knows how important the water is to what they do, as well as the whole valley.
This is an arid, dry desert and climate right now, and so without irrigation, none of these fields would be in existence.
The water flows down from the mountains, where some is channeled onto their property.
Our ditches coming out of Cottonwood Creek clear up by the Cottonwood Hot Springs and runs 5.5 miles down across to get to here.
It's called a water right. No one above them can pull from the ditch water that's due on the Kelly Ranch. But out here they do see change coming. As Buena Vista grows, it has to get water to supply new residents. It cannot simply be pulled from the Arkansas River or the streams around town. Is there enough water if BV's population doubles or triples?
Not right now for Buena Vista. That's why they have a moratorium on any further development.
The town has put a halt on new plans until it can figure out where to buy the rights to the water it needs. So that could be quite limiting on the future of growth, given the growth pressure.
Right. I mean, water will be the limiting factor for the entire state.
For ranchers, the future looks tougher as land prices rise and there could be offers coming.
So when that happens, the ranchers have more pressure because they have to make more money with their crops or with their livestock and to cover that cost. So that kind of pressure is more concerning to me than somebody coming and saying, I'll give you $1 million.
Some have agreed to easements to further restrict the use of their land.
Our ranch is in a conservation easement, so it can never be developed. Our water is part of that conservation easement, so it can never be taken from the land.
He has a lot of admiration for the next generation of ranchers like Ashley.
Her kids are the 6th generation ranchers. You don't ranch because you want to become a millionaire. You ranch because you love the land. You ranch because you love what you're doing, and you want to leave that legacy to your children.
I have to say I'm envious.
Yeah.
In BV, Ashley feels locals are supportive, but there can be a difference in lifestyle. It's a lot of young people coming into town. Do you feel different from them?
Yeah, I'd say definitely, like, now that I'm a mom, it's like we're doing life different than all the other moms in the areas.
But out here, it's a good life. Every second with family close by, a treasure.
That's worth everything. It's like, I guarantee we make like a small portion of what all our friends make money-wise, but we get to do life together as a family. Yeah, it's the best life to live.
Well, that's Buena Vista. Hope you got something out of it. We sure did. Thanks to everyone who agreed to talk with us and share their knowledge about this wonderful place. And thanks to everyone who worked on this show. And remember, make sure you keep watch for our next visit, because maybe we'll be coming to your town soon as well, as we continue uncovering Colorado.